Hello everyone, I'm Sapphire Affection and welcome to my review of Final Fantasy IV. Now, why did I choose Final Fantasy IV to be my first review on this channel? Well, it's simple. I wanted to play a game that, yes, I had some knowledge on, but I never completed. Now, for my review tactics and purposes, and there will be spoilers, so spoiler warning will be put in this video. But my criteria for ranking or rating a game is going to be 4 categories. The story, the gameplay, the music, and the characters. So, without further ado, let's get to this long-awaited review of Final Fantasy IV. Now, we're going to be tackling the story portion of this review. Final Fantasy IV is about a dark knight named Cecil. Cecil is going to retrieve these crystals for his king, and him and his crew are sort of second-guessing the king, but kind of not. It's kind of confusing if he truly is remorseful. So when he takes the crystal back to his king, he asks his king, what are you going to do with these crystals? And his king immediately thinks Cecil is being disloyal and second-guessing him and his motives. So he strips him of his title and sends him to the Mist Cave for better times. When he goes to this Mist Cave, Cain, which is a dragoon, follows him and goes with him on his journey. And they find this mist dragon in this cave. They kill this mist dragon. Little do these two know that they just killed a poor little girl's mother. And in my opinion, this little girl is the best party member in the whole game. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So they go through, and when they go through there, the ring activates, or the package, whichever version you're playing. Me, I played the Steam version, so it was a ring. And village burns down. It just burns to the ground. So it's burning. This little girl is over her mother crying because she's dead. And then when Cecil blurts out that, what have we done? The little girl gets mad and basically causes the world to break in half, or that part of the world break in half with a summon. And so you get your first party member being Rydia, or so we think. So we take Rydia to this inn, we protect her, that's how we gain her trust. Now, I'm not going to go into every story plot point of the game, but what I am going to say about this story is I believe after you get Edward in your party, which is the bard of the group, that's when this story really takes off and you really get invested in the story. Because at one point you get these two mischievous children by the name of Por and Palam, and they're just really energetic and really upbeat and stuff, and it makes the game fun. And Cecil goes to become a paladin, and when he becomes a paladin, he becomes more powerful, and you have to level him up all over again. It's really irritating. Cain gets brainwashed a lot in this game, which makes the game very interesting because Cecil has to battle his best friend. You get the girl Cecil loves, Rosa, in your party. You get this awesome monk named Yang. It's just overall a fucking amazing story to a game. This story is, if not a little below 6, on par with 6, in my opinion. So, the ending to the story, the plot twist, is my first real... Actually, I have 2 real gripes. I'll get to the character, my first. But the plot twist to this game, Gomez, which was supposed to be the main baddie, being Cecil's brother, I had no sympathy for this guy. So, I felt that the plot twist was kind of meh. It just didn't hook me like it may have some people. But hey, they tried it, and that's all they can say. But I had to take points away for the plot twist, because the plot twist just didn't vibe with me at all. But overall, the story, fucking amazing. Characters, this is probably going to be my biggest nitpick. Now, the characters in this game are wonderful. I'm not going to sit here and say they're not. I love Rydia, I love Edward, I love Por and Palam, I love Tello, I love all the characters in this game. All of them. I think the most worthless character in the game is Edward, unfortunately. But that's not due to him being bad. That's just due to I really don't need a bard in the group. That's just saying because you can get what's called augments in this game, which I will talk about that in the gameplay segment. But I do feel they do take characters away from you too much, and they make you think characters are dead. Because at a certain spot in the game, will Purim and Palom sacrifice themselves, quote unquote, to save you, and then at the end of the game you find out they're alive again. They did sacrifice themselves, but their elder brought them back. So I was happy when I found out those two adorable children fucking saved. Because they are adorable. They're mischievous children. They're adorable. They're absolutely amazing. Tallow dies. I cried during that because I actually genuinely liked Tallow. He was a very good character. Rydia goes away from your party for a little bit. I just didn't like how they did that. Made you wait for party members. Now maybe that's just a nitpick on my part, but the characters in this game are absolutely phenomenal. Every single character. But they take them away too much. And that's where I put that in here instead of gameplay, specifically because they're still characters and everything like that. So, but despite the amount of nitpicks that I have with the characters, these characters are fucking amazing, and and I absolutely love them all. I love them. Now it's time for music. I have no gripes with the music. The music is absolutely fucking amazing. It's probably this game's best. It's what it does best. Certain tracks that come to mind: the Tower of Babel theme, the Dwarf Kingdoms theme, the Moon theme, just to name a few. For Bull's theme, I could just go on and on with awesome music that this game has. Overall, music is this game's strong suit, and that's where this game... The music's perfect in this game, in my opinion. So, I have no gripes with music. Gameplay. Augments. To get some of the really good augments, you really, because I did do research, you really had to go out of your way to get it, and I just didn't want to put in the work. Because this was a review, and it was just of the main game, and I felt I could beat the main game without these augments that made the characters seemingly overpowered as fuck. But with all of that said, this game is like the gameplay is fucking beautiful. It's beautifully done. Yeah, the augments make it a bit because if you want to get the augment, you have to go out of your way to get some of the augments, and overall, they're just meh, but for the most part, this game is pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fucking good. The gameplay is fucking amazing. Final Fantasy IV created the ATB system, which was fucking phenomenal. So overall, the gameplay of Final Fantasy IV, it's classic Final Fantasy gameplay. It is classic Final Fantasy gameplay. So, with everything said, what is my final rating for Final Fantasy IV? Well, I was going from a 9.5 to a 9 over and over and over in my head until I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, I took a bath, and then I just sat there and I was like, okay, you know what? What would be a proper rating for this game? And to me, a proper due rating for Final Fantasy IV would be a 9. It's not as good as Final Fantasy VI is. As much as many people want to sit there and say, this game is their favorite. Yes, this game can be your favorite, but it's not the best in the series. It's second, in my opinion. After truly sitting through it and playing it, and finding out just how beautiful and why people love this game so much. I understand why people love this game so much, because now it's my second favorite Final Fantasy game. Now, don't get me wrong. To see if 6 truly stands up to it, I did a poll on my Twitter, and well, Final Fantasy VI won. So we will find out, just in my opinion, which do I think is better. I think where Final Fantasy VI stands out from Final Fantasy IV is Final Fantasy VI lets you know who the main villain is at the start of the game, while Final Fantasy IV makes you think Gobaz is the villain throughout the whole game, and come to find out he's just being mind controlled by Zumas, aka Zuramas. So that's where this game falls short to Final Fantasy VI, in my opinion. Just my personal opinion. I think the villain of Final Fantasy VI is what makes Final Fantasy VI a better game than Final Fantasy IV. Just my personal opinion. But this game gets a 9 out of 10. Not a 9.5. We're not giving it a 9.5. We're giving it a 9. So, that is my review of Final Fantasy IV. Now, would you guys be interested in me playing the After Years? Because if you guys would be interested in me playing the After Years, I could. I could sit there and I could play the After Years, because I truly want to find out if the After Years is as bad as what everyone makes it out to be. Because apparently the After Years is bad. Like, classically bad, according to some people. So, I want to find out, is the After Years truly that bad, or is it just people being nitpicky and being grr? But we'll find out. So what is my next review? Well, you heard me mention it earlier. My next review will be on Final Fantasy VI. Do not know when that review will come out, but hey, it could come out in a month. It could come out in 2 months. It could come out in 2 weeks. It just depends on how fast I beat the game. I beat this game within a week. That's when I'm able to get it. I'm going to try to get this review out relatively before the 10th. So, yes, so I'll be expecting that. But if you guys enjoyed this review, hit the like button. If you liked the content that I produce and you want to see more, subscribe and hit that bell for notifications whenever I upload. And as always, I hope all of you lovely gems have a very brightful day. Bye bye.